At an early age, I decided to give my life to God because in that way I could be free to help a lot of people, though at that stage I had no idea how that might come about. In time, I became a Sister of Mercy, and along with 10 other sisters came to Brisbane in 1947. Why the Sisters of Mercy? Because they were founded to care for the poor, for the sick, for education, and to provide relief wherever there was a need. Having qualified as a school teacher, I thought my life would be spent teaching, but because there was a shortage of sisters to care for the sick in Mater hospitals in Brisbane, I had to go there to train as a nurse. It was not the career which I had anticipated, and I went there in fear. Because there was a need, I took it on. I dreaded what my reaction might be should I see blood flowing. But I spent 6 consecutive years in the operating theatres, where I found that my interest shifted from myself to being as helpful as possible to the surgeon, so that the unconscious patient there would receive the best attention and be returned well to her room. I suspect this is what sustained police and medical professionals when faced with catastrophic situations, as in domestic violence situations, major road trauma, and so on. I've always been grateful that I went to the Mater, because there I witnessed Mater people reach out in extraordinary and spontaneous acts of goodness, and indeed risk-taking, in the face of poverty, injustice, and medical needs that until then had been ignored as being too difficult to address. Just as your school is independent, so too the Mater. The bulk of our services are for uninsured patients in public hospital settings, and for these we receive government funding. This does not interfere with our status as an independent Catholic organisation, which now extends from across Brisbane right up to Townsville. 18 years on, and I'm settling into a life of nursing, when there came another bolt from the blue. I was appointed administrator of the 3 Mater public hospitals, mothers, children's and adult hospitals. Neither by experience nor academically was I prepared for this role. Any diplomas I had related to nursing or management, but had nothing to do with conducting 3 major hospitals, their finances, their maintenance, staff appointments, direct dealings with state and federal governments. I could resonate with Oscar Wilde's desperate prayer when he called out, "Look down, O Christ, and rescue me. Look down, for I'm drowning in a storm you see, than Simon on thy lake of Galilee." So to university, 4 nights a week, while working full-time, and up at 4 a.m. for study and assignments, but I loved study. I mentioned the Mater's readiness to reach out where a need exists. One of the more trying tests of that willingness arose in the 80s, when the HIV/AIDS virus became a divisive issue in Queensland, and possibly in other states too. This virus was associated with homosexuals, who at that time suffered gravely from the intense fear and hatred directed against them. Even the Premier of the day declared in the local paper that no one should help these people because their illness is a direct punishment from God. Believing there would be an outcry against such a statement, we waited. But nothing happened, not even from the medical profession. We knew then we had to act, even though we risked the financial support we were receiving from state government. If we are Christians, we have to do what Jesus would do. Even when he risked the harsh disapproval of authorities, he helped, even without being asked, because there was a need right there and then. As a public face of the Mater at that time, I reached out to these men. I knew nothing of their lifestyle or how I could help them. I soon discovered these men were extremely ill, too ill to work, and because they could not reveal their identity or their illness, they were receiving no medication that could have relieved their misery. Their lifespan in those days was little more than 30 years, and they told me that. One of our doctors invited them to our outpatient clinic, and he treated them there. One of our sisters cared for them lovingly, and they were dying. We gave them houses free of rent, office space, and helped in other ways as we became aware of their needs. After about 7 years, we felt we could gently withdraw because community attitude had changed somewhat, but not completely, of course. What did I learn from this unique experience? That we must speak out and act against injustice. These men were ostracized and despised, mainly because of ignorance and fear. One should not judge. Instead, we reach out in love to provide help wherever it is needed. In these men whom I came to know individually, I saw patience in suffering and gracious acceptance of help provided. I think of them often, and I pray in gratitude for their acceptance of me, dressed as I am and as I was. Of course, gratitude can take many forms, as happened years ago in a Brisbane tram. A man, obviously under the influence of liquor, came on, but because all seats were occupied, he staggered down the aisle, posing danger to himself and everyone else. When a priest stood up to give him his seat, the man's gratitude was loud and effusive. "Thank you, Father. You are the only man in the tram who knows what it is to be drunk." Because some of you here may become doctors and nurses, I should tell you something of the Mater hospitals today, in particular the Mothers Hospital, where the skills of one doctor and his team have revolutionized the care of mothers and their unborn babies. Through advances in technology, abnormalities in unborn babies can be detected at an early stage of pregnancy. One such abnormality is that of spina bifida, where, if untreated before birth, sees the baby born incontinent in bowel and bladder and unable to walk. In an amazing technical procedure performed in Australia only in the Mater Mothers Hospital in Brisbane, Dr. Glenn Gardner operates on the unborn baby. He has performed 9 such procedures. When eventually the babies are born, they are ready to function, free of the defects for which the surgery was required. Surgery after birth does not yield such success. Other life-threatening abnormalities are also treated successfully in utero by Dr. Gardner and his team. He challenges the seemingly impossible and succeeds. One day you may do the same. I pray you do. A somewhat related topic is that of the depression, mental health issues experienced by many women prior to and after the birth of their baby. One of our Mater obstetricians, Dr. Mike Beckman, has described it as an epidemic of unrecognized pain, sadness and morbidity throughout our community, with impact not just on the mother, but on her child, her husband and family, her relationships, and ultimately on society. 1 in 5 mothers suffers postnatal mental health disorders, and 1 in 7 fathers suffers anxiety and depression. Something needed to be done, and the Mater has responded by making available for these mothers and babies a large 3-story convent building in the centre of the Mater Hospital's grounds, a convent which once housed at any one time 120 sisters, myself among them. As we talk, this convent is being repurposed to become a Mater family wellbeing centre to welcome any mother in need of support, counselling, rest and loving care to restore her self-confidence. Provision is being made for the partner to live in also, should this be necessary. We hope to welcome the first mother and baby to this centre in November next year, and that will be one big day. Something which has become clear to me as I look back is that there is a whole world out there, sometimes even right beside us, in need of kindness and compassion, not judgment. Catherine McCauley, who founded the Sisters of Mercy many years ago, had this to say about the poor, and of course the poor are not just those who are in financial difficulties. What she says, "What the poor prize more highly than gold, though they cost the donor nothing, are the kind word, the gentle compassionate look, and the patient hearing their sorrows." The kind word, the gentle compassionate look, and the patient hearing their sorrows. Now, on an entirely different topic, you asked me if I have experienced challenges and setbacks in a male-dominated society. My answer may surprise you. For 23 years, I was administrator of the Mater Public Hospitals. At that time, all CEOs of all the state hospitals throughout Queensland were male. During that time, at least 90% of all my business and professional contacts, including public servants at state and federal levels, were male. I cannot recall a single instance in which one of them tried to put me down. It never occurred to me that they would. My brothers would never have done it. But had I been subjected to this, I believe I would have dealt with it there and then. When there were differences, it was because I fought hard to obtain what was needed for our public hospital patients. I could do that because there was nothing in it for me. We never took a salary or wage. Any we could have had went directly to the support of our public hospitals. Ministers of health, treasury officials, public servants with whom I was dealing knew that. And a never-present advantage to my never having received remuneration is that I've never had to do a tax return. Among the many blessings of my life is the number of people I've known from many different nationalities and beliefs. Besides Christians, I cherish friendships with Jewish people, Muslims, and particularly Buddhist people from Taiwan, a country I love and which I have visited on many occasions. My friendship with people from Taiwan goes back over 30 years. In fact, to be of assistance to people from Taiwan living in Brisbane then, I studied and became reasonably fluent in Mandarin. But don't test me on it now. It's gone because I haven't had to use it. As you will have picked up, the greater part of my life has been spent as a martyr, where healthcare services are based on the Christian ministry of healing. The dignity and the right to life of the individual from the moment of conception right through to death is the overriding principle in all things as a martyr. The right of all patients to be given accurate and adequate information on their illnesses and to take part in decisions regarding modes and extent of treatments flows from this principle. I am blessed to have been part of this sacred ministry. It's a long time since I've waited to hold a newly laid egg in my hand. The years have flown by, and I look back in love and gratitude on the experiences I've had, and especially the people I've loved and who have loved me. I'm grateful for my vocation, which is the foundation of my life, and that has placed me in situations where I have been helped and where I could reach out to others. I put my hand in the hand of God, and He has held on to it. I feel that if our purpose in life is upright, if we have love in our hearts, and if we strive for holiness, wisdom and strength, we will be wise when we face difficulties. Each one of us walks a path and fills a road that no one else can fill. We're all pilgrims on a journey, and it is on that journey that we will meet those who need the kind word, the gentle, compassionate look, and the patient hearing of their sorrows. I ask God to bless each one of you.